AMT sequencer. Changes have been made in the analog output and binary analog input tabs in hardware configuration. To enable or disable the actual values in analog output, just in the actual column enter a coefficient of 1.2 milliseconds and it will also be disabled by entering 0. In binary analog input, to activate is enough to show in the actual type column, select AC or DC to activate the sampling rate column and enter a coefficient of 400 microseconds. If the names of ID are typed Persian, in adding the parameter in the general test object, a message is displayed to the user that the written characters are not accepted and returns to the default name. If type is on any of the options, there will be a default color option in vector view. In the binary analog input and binary output tabs, to disable any of the used binaries, you can use the N key and Alt-N combination key to disable all binaries. As you can see, the same can be done in the binaries output tab to disable binary outputs. In the analog output and the shown wirings, in other section, not used button is added. In the value assessment tab, two columns called ratio and assessment settings are added. There are two options for automatic and manual in assessment settings. In automatic mode, as before, calculations are performed, but in manual mode, the ACT cell is activated to order number entered by the user in dev calculation. The number entered in the ratio column is a coefficient to multiply in the nominal value to calculate dev. These options are made to test the meter. Medium modules. A new option called Stop Test after each shot test is created in the Extra Setting tab. By enabling this option, after testing each point in shot test, first the relays of the analog output section in the tester is turned off and then the next point is tested. This option does not exist in AMT sequencer and is only in modules where shot test, search test, and check test are available. For example, this has been done for 3 points. As you can see, when injecting the current for 10 seconds for each point, the LEDs in the current output A section are turned on, and after the test of each point is finished, the LEDs are turned off. That means the injections are not performed and the relays are turned off. In load relay setting, a new option called Add Missing Blocks and Parameters is added. This option can be used to create templates from CSV files taken from relays. To do this, you first need to create relay menus in the software. By using this method, blocks and parameters taken from the relay are made automatically. There are two modes for transferring CSV format files, or parameters have paths or no paths are defined for them. First, a CSV file is loaded from the Schneider relay, which is not defined a path to its blocks and parameters. In this case, all parameters are created in a block called Missing Parameters. This time, a CSV file is loaded from the Toshiba relay, which is defined a path to its blocks and parameters. In this case, there is a path for parameters. They are categorized according to the same default path. Two important points. One is that each block's ID is made according to its name. Another point about parameters is that some IDs are not allowed, so IDs are checked and converted to authorized if they are unauthorized. For this reason, the ID of a parameter may be different for its ID in the file. The created foreign ID matches the file. Type all parameters are selected from string type because they are not mentioned in the file. A new feature is created to disable testing of one or more points, disable testing point in one or more fault type, as well as disable testing in one or more tabs if a point or line is added. For example, to disable testing one or more point is enough to select them first and then right-click on them and disable testing at those points by using the active option. You can also disable test execution in one or more tabs by activating the Created checkbox next to each tab. AMT transducer and meter. In transducer properties, a new section called pulse type is added. In this section, the user can specify whether the pulse count is based on the upward or downward edge. Instrument modules. If the instrument view window closes, you can reopen this window by using the Ctrl-Alt-N combination keys. Transformer. If a wiring is selected, which is none of the primary, secondary, and tertiary coils, have a star connection trans, magnetic balance vector group check, and zero sequence impedance test cannot be performed, and these options are disabled in the test section. The zero trans sequence test is presented in the zero sequence impedance tab in demo form. First, enter the initial values for calculation in the impedance section of the test object tab, and then perform the test by adding the row in the zero sequence impedance tab by right-clicking and selecting the Apply Test option.